0 megabits, 4 megabits, 6 megabits. We need to bring back the count.
Oh, hi, Art Darren.
But then again, you might ask yourself, maybe the count never went anywhere in the first place. He's just been hanging out this entire time doing county things. You know, because I hear that the count likes to bleep. It's a great video, kids, and if you've never seen it, do yourself a favor right now and go look up The Count Likes to Bleep. Unnecessarily censored count from an American TV show called Sesame Street. Quite entertaining. How's everybody doing? Middle of the week? It's Wednesday, the day of Wednesday, which makes no sense, you know, at least like with the word breakfast, I'm like, I get it. You know, you got to break your fast. But what do you do on your wins? It's the wins. It's a bad word, man. It's spelled wrong. It's Wednesday. And we just all pretend that makes sense. And everybody knows. Everybody knows, even as your child. And somebody's teaching you, like, this is how you spell that. And you're like, that's wrong.
Aw. Hi, Strider. Have fun with Joe tonight. I'm so sorry. I've got to do another recording tonight, podcast recording tonight. So that was already scheduled and it was too late a notice. And Steve has to work late. But next time Joe's in town, I want to catch him. We'll have to plan it earlier so we can maybe have him for an LGC party on Saturday.
Can I copy that link? Hey, everybody. What's going on? Get everything together. That's my monitor boss. Man, I hope I win a bid.
Oh, okay. What bid for?
I'm working on it. on it.
Oh, okay.
For a retro audio interface. I know, right? Why? Because it's got some old school monochrome LED lighting for the display on it.
Oh, nice.
No. That's gonna get the retro hipsters in to watch the video. I'm like, oh, that's retro.
I have a old monochrome CRT from a POS system, and it's so cute. It's only got like an 8-inch screen. It's adorbs. And then I also have a little color one too.
I don't even know if mine's 8 inches. I got an IBM monitor. It's about like that big. And it's like a legit old, it's not like a remade thing, whatever. I've never fixed it because the pins are knackered on the end of it.
Oh, okay.
Somebody gave it to him. Like, here, do you want this? No. But I took it anyway. I was like, I might be able to do something with that. So I don't know. It's probably just like green CRT. But my first monitor was that orange monochrome.
Yeah.
Of a certain age. And I was kind of fascinated by the LED display on this audio interface, which is more an audio face. It's like kind of an oddball thing. But it uses the orange.
Yeah, I always like the orange. I've got a couple of computers with the orange. I like it. Orange on black. Easy to read.
What we need to bring back is the red monochrome.
I have one of my laptops has that red. It was a very unique display for its time on a laptop.
Did I ever have a monochrome? No, I don't think I've ever had a... I know me, as much as I love laptops, right? I've never had a monochrome laptop. I remember my... Here's what I remember, kids. I remember seeing the first color laptop in a shop. Because, you know, laptops had been out. You know, you'd seen the monochrome, black and white, grayscale, and
yeah,
bluish grayscale. A lot of them were. I remember walking by the first one. I was like, "What's wrong with that one?" I had to have to think about it. And I was a young child. And I went back, and that was like a moment. And I didn't have anybody around at the time to explain how cool that was. Like, wow! It was like the first time I saw 3D acceleration, an NVIDIA chipset built into a laptop.
Oh yeah.
That was earth-shattering. I'm like, oh.
Oh yeah, Amstrad. I've got a couple of Amstrad computers. Yeah,
Nice.
Gametron.
We're gonna do. What are we talking about? Twitch. The next game, Stream Manager. Man, they should add like a system in a browser where I could add links permanently and click on them. I think I'm gonna call it like bookmarks or something like that. I'm not sure. I'll have to come up with a name for it. It'll be a pretty grand invention. Right today on. Oh, there we go. See, look at that. I've done a thing. We're going to do that, and we're going to do that, and we have.
Webmarks. That's a good one. Gametron.
There we go. Webmarks.
Yeah.
We have that together. So who's going to run out and buy a new NVIDIA CPU? You want an NVIDIA CPU?
Yeah. No. They're making ARM ones. They've already had those in their GPUs for AI, for autonomous vehicles and whatnot.
Well, the Tegra class stuff. I think the big hubbub is, because me and Pedro were talking about it in our Discord, like NVIDIA's even released laptops with NVIDIA CPUs on them back in 2010.
Yeah.
But the latest rumor is, because this doesn't come as a surprise, most of you, because you're thinking, right, didn't they try to buy ARM? I'm like, yes, I did.
Yeah. And RISC-V, too, is another one. They're going to be making chips. Well, they already do for their GPUs anyways.
Strider, what in the hot hell are you trying to do here?
But yeah, I have a couple NVIDIA Tegra devices, including a Boxy Box home entertainment system.
The latest scuttlebutt about NVIDIA is they're going to be releasing, this is what we don't know. This is something I'm going to be talking about a bit more in depth on Saturday, are we going to see what we would expect, which would be an NVIDIA SoC system on chip, is what they've released, with like Tegra and Kepler, the NVIDIA tablet, the Shields, and all these devices. Or are we going to see something more discrete, like just a standalone? Because can you imagine, like, you could buy an NVIDIA motherboard, because they have experience doing this. How long has NVIDIA been pushing out the Jetson series, the Nanos?
Yeah.
And would it even be consumer oriented? Would NVIDIA come out with something? Because they have to expand, as a company, and this is what they got to do. And I want to live in a world where I can get my my Intel GPU for my new NVIDIA CPU.
Yeah.
Without, making any jokes whatsoever, because how weird would that be?
Yeah.
Anyway, more ARM, more better, more options, because best up ARM, it's coming. It's like x86 is never going to die completely, but yeah, we want something like non-Apple flavored for the rest of us.
Yeah.
And
something
even
more affordable.
if you got to take a spoonful of NVIDIA to get your hands on it, yeah, who knows?
Aw, hi Steve husband. Aw, thank you for that nice greeting, Gametron, for my Steve husband. Aw. And yeah, I see Ralph 9900 on Twitch. Guess the Twitch bridge isn't working. Is it? Let's see. Oh, there it is. Okay. I just missed it.
I need to, let me see. Let's go into
Arm wrestling. Yep. that about says it, Steve husband.
Okay, so I need to adjust. Oh, that's feathering. Where is chat? Twitch. Chat new. Scooch. There we go. That's why I wasn't showing up. All right. I gotta resize some things. And let me get that locked back in. There we go. Now we can go. Vroom. There we go. Subtle effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw the version of MAME is out, and they've done some work on Wayland as well.
Nice.
I've never got into MAME. Like, I've used MAME, naturally, to play around, but
Yeah.
I think MAME's one of those things I would have to reserve for making, if I was going to make an arcade cabinet. And I've never had that desire to make, like, a stand-up cabinet.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have, like, a, outside of fighting games, I don't have, like, a huge, like, fond nostalgia for arcade games, because even as a child, I realized what it was. I'm like, that is, these games are just, they're all intent hard to extract the monies from you. Strider, what are you doing?
Yeah, I'm looking what.
You've never seen an arcade IRL? They were a thing.
Poor Theron. No, I love going to the arcades. You know, that was.
You went there to do drugs.
No, I knew people that competed at the arcades and competed in several different games. And yeah, just it was a thing and you did in the 70s. I like playing pinball too.
Strider, you bought one of those little monitors. I've had one of those little monitors for a couple of years. I don't use it much. Does yours have a hole in the bottom left-hand corner of it?
I bought a 17-inch one for my laptop, but I haven't used it yet because I don't usually use laptops. But I can use it for every other computer. I've used it for troubleshooting computers.
I have it as a. I've used it in a couple of. Let me see which one I got. That's right, kids. That's what secretly this list is. That's because my memory isn't going. Which one do I have? This one.
There's our Acer.
This is one I got.
Wow.
Okay, you know what? It's not that expensive. It was like 170 when I bought it. This is an updated. Mine's got a hole in the bottom left-hand corner. Just goes straight through the chassis.
Oh, how weird!
And you're
like the lock or something.
Like you could fit like a full-size, like school locker type locker, a master lock type thing on it. Combination locker. And like, what is that for? I was hoping this had a. Maybe there's some user pictures of like older ones. Down at the bottom. Let's go through photos. Do I see any of the older ones? Yeah, anyway. Those all look like the newer model, but it's got a hole in the bottom left-hand corner. Why? I was curious enough to look it up on a video. You put a pencil or pen through it. Fits right. You put a pencil.
Oh, okay, to hold it up.
Yep, turns it into a stand.
I have that on one of my devices. And I can't remember what it was, but there was something like that.
I don't know. I just I bought a stand for. I got like a box of those Amazon fold-out stands. And that's where I put anytime I need a tablet or anything, clonk, put that down, done. Still gotta fix this chair though.
Yeah.
We're on like week 3.
Oh.
I came in here today and I cut everything on. I set everything on. I cut on the camera and I came to sit down. I'm like, where am I at? This is hard to tell in this shot. I'm sitting, monitor is like right here on my head. Like if that camera was not mounted up towards the ceiling, you wouldn't be able to see me. You'd see like this.
Yeah.
It would like a looking down shot. All right. About ready?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go take a quick break and I will be ready.
All right. We go. You're currently on battery with 26% left. Are you going to bring all of that on your trip? And by all that, are you just going to bring your Steam Deck? I could see maybe getting away with like a Steam Deck and a keyboard. You don't have a laptop. All right. But back to the question, are you going to bring all that? Don't you have a tablet? That's something I was talking to Jill about in the pre-show is when Android tablets first started coming out, like as soon as Android tablets started coming out, I started buying tablets. And for the first couple of years, now granted, they cost a little bit more than they do today, but they all had HDMI out on them. You know, I have 3 or 4 tablets, couple expensive ones, but I even have like a mid-range tablet from the time, and they all had HDMI out. And while I guess today, when you think about it, you're like, oh, okay, well, I'll just, you know, your Chromecast, which is fine, but if you wanted to plug a tablet into an external display, a dumb TV or something like that, that was handy. It's click, boom, put on Netflix. Well, hopefully the TSA and customs or whoever you run into won't make fun of you for having a Steam Deck. You know, you're going to run into the other person that bought the, what was it, the Asus ROG? Like, you should get an Asus ROG, man. Linux nerd. You see, partially correct. They can still make fun of you. It's just whether or not that makes any sense, right? You know, if a clown makes fun of you, that's like making fun of a clown too, right? Don't empower people to offend you or make fun. Like, whatever, quit being silly. As long as you don't hold me up. So what are we talking about today? We're going to be talking about KDE news right at the beginning. Sneaky Ubuntu's, Firefox's. And we have a release date for the Raspberry Pi. Which is pretty fascinating. Latvia. There's a beautiful, awesome thing. This show is brought to you by a product made by a Latvian company. If you don't know, MikroTik, makers of the routers and switches that are in the rack back here. I'm from Latvia. Man, your battery life is going to be fine. Just don't use it. It'll last the whole trip.
Yeah. Strider, have fun next week. You have a lot of fun. Yeah, you'll get to see Michael Tennell. In fact, that's why I'm recording Destination Linux early this week. because he's going to be at Ubuntu Summit. I was going to say UbuCon, because UbuCon is actually happening at scale, this coming scale. We haven't had that since 2019, just since the pandemic. So it'll be nice to have the Ubuntu convention back at scale. But this is the Ubuntu Summit for the developers.
All right. Everybody, let's go ahead and hop into it.
Okay.
Let me get that set. Here we go. And if I scroll to the top, I can find what I'm looking for. Hey, there we go. All right. That's good. Cool. Yeah. Let's do a show. Hey everyone, welcome back to Linux Weekly, daily Wednesdays where we sit back, relax, take that midweek break, talk about some of the fun things going on in the world of Linux and open source. I'm Vince Stone, joined every week by Jill Bryan and everybody watching at home live on Twitch. How's it going? Beautiful time. Not going to say I'm having a good time. I'm watching a bunch of people running around, terrified, petrified, stupefied, mortified, confused as to why their ad blockers are no longer working. They're getting pop-ups on YouTube. YouTube's like, you better get rid of that ad blocker. 3 strikes and you're out, man. And they're updating their ad blockers and it's coming back. Terrible time. Terrible time. Fine. I told you this was coming. I did.
Yeah, you did. Actually, right here on the show.
Nobody listens to me. And I said, here it comes. That's a couple of months ago. And I said, it's like, no, don't worry about it, man. I got ad blockers. Things going to work. Now, something I touched on Saturday. If you want to go back and listen to Linux Gamecast Weekly, this isn't the switch getting flipped at all. Like, there's the on button for advertisements. That sucks. But one thing I'm going to start doing is something I've been playing around with on, if you're a patron, I got the option just to like upload a regular video straight to patreon.com. So I'm going to start doing it for this show and Linux Gamecast. So if you want like the ad-free video for that, now of course you can use the like YouTube DLP and all the other things if you want to work around that. But if you just want to pop in and watch a produced version, download it, whatever, we're going to make sure you're taken care of. So don't worry about how much.
Nice.
Yeah. So Jill, what you been up to?
Oh boy. Well, I just wanted to say how much fun I had yesterday. We had some really quirky new practice maps to play for a Trackmania Stadium 2 stream yesterday, and I really, really enjoyed them. I love the unique ones with unique mechanics. It makes it an interesting puzzle.
It's always fun to see people immediately start like, I don't like this map. And I'm like,
I
I get it.
I like those quirky ones, those hard to do ones, and then once you do it, you're like, yay!
Yeah, it's that is the game loop. If you don't know, we do Trackmania 2 Stadium. Hey, I'm on the wrong screen. Hang on one moment, everybody. Hey, now I'm on the right screen. I know you can't see what screen I'm talking about. I'm talking about my Stream Deck. It's right down there. But we get to come in. We do 14 new maps on Tuesdays, and we vote for the top 10. So we got the server. We got a little private server that we set up that we play on the rest of the week. We get at them, figure out which ones we want, and on Friday we come back. But lately, we've been just going like with brand new maps because people are still making new maps for this 11-year-old game. And it's great community, awesome. Great time. Come join us if you're a Twitch sub or patron. Come hop in, come say hi. If you've been looking to make friends, like, hey, there you go. We got a nice little group of people to come hang out with. But Joe, we need to get right into it this week because a blast from the past has returned to a desktop, or is, I should say, as of 2 days ago, is heading back to a certain desktop experience.
Yeah, absolutely. So you remember the Compes 3D desktop cube effect? Where we could show off our friends to demonstrate the power of Linux and make Windows users jealous? Well, now that is available for KWin and the KDE Plasma desktop. This is really cool. There is a plugin for GNOME as well. But to enable the cube effect, go to System Settings, Workspace Behavior, Desktop Effects, and select it from the menu. And it actually can be activated with the Meta plus C keyboard shortcut. And you will have to have at least 3 virtual desktops activated to enable the cube effect. So you can render the sides of the cube while you spin it. And you actually rotate the cube by clicking the left mouse button and dragging with your mouse, and then hit the left mouse button to switch to the desired virtual desktop. Or you can use the left or right keyboard arrows to rotate the cube and hit enter, space, or return to switch virtual desktops. It's that easy. I think it's really cool that you can use the mouse and the keyboard. And some of the settings you can actually change are the cube face displacement, distance, a background plane color, or you can add a really cool skybox background. And there are actually instructions for installing it on Ubuntu, Fedora, and Arch on the GitHub page here in our show notes. So this is a lot of fun. It brings back a lot of memories because that was one of the few things we had, Ven, on the Linux desktop. We can make a 3D cube of our desktop.
And the main reason I want to bring this up, everybody, is this is something that has gotten merged in as of 2 days ago.
Yay!
So there we go.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of interesting to see. I mean, I didn't know. I mean, I'm looking at like straight as like, hey, was there a cube effect? Honestly, I don't know. I know the cube effect's been around when the KWin effects cube, but according to this, it's now like an official real thing.
Yeah.
So I think that is pretty good. So I don't know. It's kind of one of those weird things when you got to go back in time and think about when did we have Compiz? And when was that? Like 2005, 2006, somewhere in there?
Yeah. 2005, 2006.
It was kind of...
Then I actually remember showing it to a lot of Windows users, and they were confused because see they didn't understand virtual desktops. So having a one, say you had 4 virtual desktops and having one on each side of the cube, for them it was confusing because they didn't know what that was. So then you had to explain what a virtual desktop was.
I think that was one of the things that we never saw a lot of adoption with the cube because most people don't use virtual desktops.
Yeah, I know. Most of them don't.
We don't. I mean, that was always before the cube when it came to like virtual desktops. We've had that option forever on even in the most basic window managers for Linux. But, it was one of the things that you could show off. Like, hey, I could use this desktop, this desktop, this desktop. And you never really used them. And the cube was neat. Like I put stuff here and put stuff here and put stuff here. I can spin it around.
Yeah.
And it just kind of faded away into obscurity. But hey, I mean, it's officially back.
Yeah.
Oh,
awesome.
That's kind of neat. I just wanted to give that a quick mention at the top of the show. I thought it was like, I saw that show up and I'm like, hey, it's finally been merged into the cube as a new effect into Plasma. Oh, I'm like, all right, pretty decent.
Very cool.
So, Ubuntu. We got the Ubuntu conference thing coming up, right?
Yeah, Ubuntu Summit in Europe. I'm forgetting the name of the country. I shouldn't forget the name of it. Latvia. Yeah, that's it.
Latvia. Home of MikroTik.
Yeah, home of MikroTik. Yeah.
Well, I thought it would be a good time to take a look at how Ubuntu snuck into Dell laptops. This is something that happened. We forget about it. You almost might take it for granted in today's time that you can kind of just get a laptop, maybe not with Linux on it from Dell or HP, but you can definitely get one without Windows. And at that time, we were going out of our way to avoid paying the Windows tax if we were buying a pre-built PC. And it was not necessarily an easy thing to do. This is a nice little write-up from ZDNet because I went looking around. I'm like, even today, let's be real. If we got to go to Dell, you got to look for like developer editions for the XPSs if you want to get a Linux laptop, but it's doable. You know, there's not too many hoops you got to go through. And, you know, even better yet, now when you get an Ubuntu laptop from Dell, you don't have to drop out of college, Jill.
Yeah, I know.
This was a real story that happened, well, let's see, 14 years ago. Like somebody accidentally ordered an Ubuntu. I don't even know. This smells like Microsoft FUD from back in the day. But apparently a student ordered a laptop and ended up with Linux on it, and they couldn't complete their coursework. And I have a lot of questions about that. But let's go ahead and just kind of get back to this. This does a really good job of talking about somebody you might know, Barton George, and how he started just a small internal team that at times this entire team at Dell consisted of 2 people and a dog.
Yeah.
And it was kind of difficult because they were talking about, he was trying to pitch it. He was like, hey, let's just do a developer thing. And they said, man, how many do you plan on selling? And I'm like, well, you know, maybe a reasonable amount, couple. And I'm like, no, we sell more volume laptops than that in like this small country by 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. on a Tuesday. So they weren't terribly interested in it. But it was enough, you know, to get, I think they ended up with like $40,000 of just initial internal funding. I'm like, here, side project, go play around with it. Barton was able to get a hold of Ubuntu, rag them up. I said, hey, will you work with us and make sure we get all the drivers and all the bits that we need to get our laptop up and working with Ubuntu? And Ubuntu did a solid. And they said, all right, let's try this out. We're going to launch a developer laptop, 10% off, you know, to incentivize people and see who's out there. They were expecting about 300 orders. This would be pretty good, you know, super niche product. We'll get it out there for testing. A couple hundred people will pick it up, and it immediately ended with 6,000 orders.
Yay!
Like, what? They didn't expect that. So that was a big enough signal. That little bit right there, that little blip of like, wait a minute, there's money to be made here. So they were able to move on the project. George was able to take what was effectively a prototype that they had, you know, just a small couple of hundred to get out there. That idea to a full product in, you know, this was Skunkworks inside of Dell. They were able to get that together as a shipped product in about 9 months. Oh, this is going to be linked. If you want to go back and read, there's also a link to the full talk that a lot of these excerpts came from. Go back and listen to that. It's good to know the history of how Dell, because, you know, when you think about your System 76s, you know, Tux computers, places like that. But if you got to get a work laptop, like, hey, can I get a Dell laptop with Linux on it? It's supported. It's good. And, you know, and who wants it? That System 76 worked with HP.
Yeah, HP. Yeah, they put out a really beautiful laptop. Actually, I got to play with it.
What was it called?
I'm spacing. It was I got to play with it at the System 76 booth 2 years ago. Not the framework. That's the company. HP's no. I'm forgetting the name of it. Yes. So they have their own developer laptop as well. We got to Google it.
So what are your thoughts on Project Sputnik?
Yeah. So, you know, we've actually been talking about Barton George and his Project Sputnik and its progress, you know, honestly, since I've been here on LWW since 2018, because it's huge Linux news, you know, getting Linux on a mainstream, you know, retail, huge retailer laptop like Dell. And it is amazing what he and his team have achieved. And actually, he did it kind of quickly, too, all things considered. One of my favorite quotes from Barton George in the blog about the Dell Ubuntu developer laptop, key to success, was he states, "We created a rough image that people could use on the XPS 13. developers could download it and start working on it. We told people there were a lot of caveats, and it wasn't an official release, nor supported. But the key thing here is while you couldn't do this with consumers, with developers who knew it was a beta, then you're okay. And we had most of the bugs worked out. So that's, that's a great way to go to Linux users, because we're used to working on things that are in beta and with software and with hardware. So that was brilliant to go straight to the developers who are used to playing with their hardware.
One of the things that we just take for granted these days, because if you need a laptop and you want Linux on it and you need it to be supported, you have options these days. And if you've ever ran in, and it can still be a problem, especially inside of, company-owned laptops. Unfortunately, that's why a lot of people end up with Macs, because you'd rather have a Mac than whatever, poo book that they wanted to give you from whoever. And so I just thought this was a nice trip down memory lane of how that took place. And
absolutely.
It's nice when a small team can get together inside of a large corporation and affect some change like that, and it benefits us. Mm-hmm. Good times for all. Jill has some news about Firefox 119, which is one version better than 118.
Yeah. Yes. So Mozilla Firefox 119 web browser is now available to download with some very cool new features. One of my favorite new features are the improvements to the Firefox view panel, which you select by hitting the Firefox icon in the top left corner of your tabs. Firefox View lets you access pages from other devices, such as your phone or another computer that is turned on. And what's cool is it now shows recently closed tabs in browsing history, which you can organize by date or by site. And it adds support for viewing all open tabs from all your windows and all the tabs from all synced devices. So it allows you to view multiple tabs and windows from your synced Firefox browser, which is really cool. I've been using that feature a lot since it came out in 2022. So it's really nice. And the other big news here is that Firefox 119 lets you import your Chrome extensions, at least the ones that are available on the Firefox add-on site. And I did try this, and most of the extensions I used are on Firefox, so it worked very well. And this release also now allows the ability to edit PDFs by adding images. Before, you could add drawings and, of course, text. But now you can add images to the PDFs as well and edit them right in the Firefox web browser. I think that's brilliant. Remember all those years, Van, how hard it was to get an application to let you edit PDFs on Linux? That was a thing.
Edit PDFs. So, fortunately, I've not made life choices bad enough to where I've had to edit PDFs.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, I had to deal with them all the time working in academia.
We got some background noise from you?
Yeah, and tree trimmers are right in front of my house. I was like, when is it going to come through my mic?
We'll just have to wait them out.
Yeah. Hopefully they'll be gone and within 10, 20 minutes. They've been going down the street, and I'm like, of course, during the show, they're going to end up right in front of my house. This happened to Vin last week. That's so funny. It's the time of the tree trimming. Oh, and thank you, Mir. Yeah, it's the Dev One, the Dev One HP laptop.
Yeah, that was kind of short-lived. It was out, then they're like, and it's gone.
Yeah.
So you better hurry up and order one. No, you can't order one anymore. Find one on eBay.
Yeah. Oh, you hear it. Arthur and Varoom. Yeah, it's a Varoom. Yeah, Steve husband. True. I think they're actually, because I can't tell, of course, because my blinds are closed, but I think it's the tree across the street that's being worked on. The big tree.
All right. I think they're out of range now.
Okay. My goodness.
But yeah, having to edit PDFs, I mean, being able to do that, really with PDFs for me, the only time I run across PDFs is manuals these days.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
Fortunately, I don't have to edit manuals, which is always, let's just be honest, let's just hope PDFs eventually die at some point.
Yeah. Yeah, it's never been my favorite format, but that's what a lot of businesses use to circulate data information. So that's what we got stuck with.
I know. I would like something to come and replace it because, as much as I loathe PDFs, I don't loathe PDFs. I like whatever. I've been beaten into submission with them. Like whatever, fine. I will take a PDF any day over a poorly scanned manual from 30 years ago.
Yeah, very true.
And
it is better than microfiche.
It is.
Yeah.
100%. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we were wondering when we were going to get some Raspberry Pis.
Yeah.
Some Pi 5. And here they are. They're available now. Not really. But
yeah, they're getting ready to ship them out.
4 and 8 gig Pis are going to start showing up next week. If you pre-order. If you had some of that FOMO and you get your pre-orders in, well, all right, pretty decent. The rest of you, people like me, us peasants, you're going to have to wait a couple of months. They're going to start showing up in channels, but that's still good news. I thought we'd let everybody know about that. I opted not to pre-order Raspberry Pi. I was on the page. And it wasn't the pre-order. I don't have any problems with people pre-ordering. Like, do what you want to do, right? That doesn't bother me. And for an item like this that is going to be difficult to get a hold to, getting a pre-order in from a vendor, I was more curious as to, because all the places that I found that had pre-orders had like very strict, or at least up front, like you can get one and that's it. And we're going to check you and make sure that you're not trying to order 7 or 8 because you got to worry about scalpers, right?
Yeah.
That didn't do too much to stop them.
Yeah,
there's
Ben just found this.
Raspberry Pi 5s on eBay already. So if you don't feel like waiting for your pre-order and you still got that FOMO, you can get one. Order a Raspberry Pi 5 right now for $188.
Yeah.
And you're thinking to yourself, then, well, that's just somebody got a hold of one early. Nah, they had 7 of them.
Yeah, I wonder how they got, they obviously were press and got a hold of a bunch of them. And
I don't think they sent press 7. Joe. Yeah. This is like pre-order stock that somebody slid to the side for an incredible amount of money. This is the last one. So how many did they have? They only had 3. $189 right now, and you can pick up a Pi 5 8 gig. Now, are we looking into the future, people? Are we getting ready for round 2, a scalp-mageddon? Because we're all a little sensitive about scalper prices on Raspberry Pis. Because unless you were a company with a contract or however that worked with the Raspberry Pi Foundation, you couldn't get one for the past couple of years, and you ended up paying $180. One of the reasons I didn't do that video on the Jitsi server for the Raspberry Pi 4 for a couple of years was because it didn't make any sense. Because if you wanted a Raspberry Pi 4, it was going to cost you $180. And I'm like, why would you do that? You would just go buy a cheap Dell business PC, which is going to be faster and cost $99. Hopefully this is like a very limited thing. Hopefully. But I wouldn't expect to see. But why I didn't pre-order back to that's because do the right thing. Wait for the good cases to show up and the peripherals. Software's probably ecosystem's going to be in good shape. It's going to be there. And I would probably say we'll know how effective or how serious Raspberry Pi was about, limiting pre-order and available stock to customers and fighting scalping by February. I'm going to say maybe by February, we'll know. You'll be able to go on like, hey, can I just go order one, right? At a reasonable price. And if that's not the case, then we're going to have to look at other things. But Raspberry Pi would like you to know just how fast this Pi 5 is while you're sitting around waiting. They did a article about benchmarking it. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty good. Geekbench numbers. I'm like, all right. I like to see it. Why is only the Raspberry Pi 4 in the benchmark against the Raspberry Pi 5? Okay. So you're taking the time to benchmark it, and brace yourself, kids. The Raspberry Pi 5 is, in fact, faster than the Raspberry Pi 4.
Yeah.
All right. Didn't expect that. That comes as a shock to no one. Like, okay. I mean, I guess this is a useful metric in some way, shape, form, or fashion. What I was curious about, and I think a lot of you at home, is because we just talked about this gap this past couple of years where you just really couldn't justify buying a Raspberry Pi 5 because they were so expensive. What have we been doing? What have we been doing?
We've been buying all the alternatives, the orange pies, the banana pies.
Rock chip based stuff.
Yeah.
Been on the market. And it wasn't $75, but, something we've talked about on the show a lot is, these boards were, they had more features. They were newer. They've been updated more recently. They were like $100, $120, but they also had like 8 gigs of RAM, 16 gigs of RAM, 32 gigs of RAM, NVMe drives built into them.
Yeah.
And that's
really cool.
what I wanted to see. The Raspberry Pi 5 stacked up again. So I headed over to Geekbench. And let's see how a Pi 5 matches up against the Orange Pi 5B, which I think is like the legitimate competitor. Like the next SBC I buy is going to be an Orange Pi. Just play around with it. And it's not that bad.
Yeah. I was really impressed by the single core performance. I mean, the Raspberry Pi 5 is 2.40 gigahertz versus the Orange Pi's 1.80 gigahertz. So it does make sense that it would be, faster in single core, but it's not bad. Even on multi-core, it's the Orange Pi 5B actually has 8 threads as opposed to the Raspberry Pi 5's 4 threads, but the Raspberry Pi still holds up with it.
Not in multi-core, Jill.
Not on all, yeah.
Not at all, period. I mean, you can't stretch that. There's almost a 60% performance difference.
Yeah, you're right about that.
That you can't gloss over that. You're just being,
but single core performance is pretty cool when you consider there's a lot of apps that
single core is not bad, but it's But again, the Raspberry Pi 5 doesn't always win in single core. Now, this is what you gotta take in consideration, though. The Orange Pi 5 is going to run you about $120. Where this is where the price, performance, the value proposition of the Raspberry Pi 5 all hinges on availability. So if we can get, if you at home are able to get a Raspberry Pi 5 for MSRP, which, what was it, $80? $85? Then you can't really beat that because that's a lot of oomph for the buck.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what you got to keep in mind here. However, if you end up having to pay $180, like we were just looking at on eBay for a Raspberry Pi 5, there's no point, you wouldn't buy it. That's something you want to keep in mind, everybody. I mean, it all depends on availability with the Raspberry Pi 5 because, the single board computer SBC ecosystem didn't take a break these past couple of years. They've been innovating and doing stuff. And there's things, choices that they had to make with Raspberry Pi 5 to keep it within budget. There's things that I really wanted to see, like a built-in NVMe slot. I think that would have been nice. They went with a ribbon connector, which is going to be, that's passing the expense on to the hat or the add-on board, which is going to add to the complexity of the case and however that's going to stick together. But whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. If they can ship it for like $80 and you can get it in distribution channels for that price, it's a beautiful product. It is very performant for the price. And again, the ecosystem is very well fleshed out. That's one thing Raspberry Pi has over everybody else.
Yeah. The community and the ecosystem is amazing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And again, it's all open source too, which makes it a lot easier to develop apps for the board and everything. So that's definitely something. And actually, I have the Raspberry Pi 5 right here. I showed it off a couple weeks ago here on LWW when I got it from Eben Upton and the Raspberry Pi company. Yay! So, but I have noticed just a huge speed increase with my Raspberry Pi 5, just using the desktop and surfing web pages compared to my Raspberry Pi 400, which I had overclocked from 1.8 gigahertz to 1.9 gigahertz when I got it back in 2020. This kills that little computer, the Raspberry Pi 400. So I'm sure they're going to be putting this in a keyboard also, and maybe call it the Raspberry Pi 500.
Oh, so. I mean, imagine how much better it's going to be when it's not constantly thermal throttling.
Yeah, because it has that little fan and everything.
Because in its current state really right cool. Now, you plug that thing in, it immediately thermal throttles.
Yeah, it does. It does. So I haven't put the heatsink and little fan on it yet, but I plan to. And I want to do some serious benchmarking. Strider in chat was asking about Vulkan, how good is the Vulkan performance on the Raspberry Pi 5? And I definitely still need to test that. And so by the end of the year, actually after all the back orders are filled, you should be able to go to the nearest Micro Center and grab a Raspberry Pi 5. And I actually was just at Micro Center a few weeks ago, and the Raspberry Pi booth was pretty empty, but they were already putting up signs for the Raspberry Pi 5 in anticipation. And they've even already done videos on their website about the Raspberry Pi 5. So they've been testing it too. So that is cool. When Micro Center gets all the Pis back, then we know things are normal. Because they've always had a really, really good Raspberry Pi 5 section. In fact, they used to have a whole aisle of just Raspberry Pi 5s and all the hats and all the different versions and kits and everything. So, and you
know, for everybody else, we'll have to get them online.
Yeah, and all the kits will be available, on Amazon and Newegg and all the places.
That's what I want to see. I want to see how it shakes out, because if they can keep availability, if it doesn't end up in just completely the domain of scalpers, which this is a valid concern. This is what we've been dealing with the past couple of years. Definitely pick one up. Like, you can't beat the price performance at $80. But it's a non-starter if you end up having to pay $150, $160 for Pi 5.
Yeah.
Like, it just doesn't make sense as a product at that unless you were tied into the ecosystem. Hopefully that's not going to be the case. And more importantly, I think we're going to see better availability for the Raspberry Pi 4s.
Nice. Yeah, and they'll be the cheaper boards you can grab at the store or online.
Well, there's so much you can do. And they're still cutting the trees.
Yeah. It's just like been the whole episode. I've been hearing them annoying. It's been hard to speak with them. Oh, I'm sorry, Ben. Poor Ben. He's gonna have to do a lot of editing like last week. Mm-hmm. Oh boy. Yeah. Gamatron, that was funny. A keyboard that keeps your fingers warm. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, a little Raspberry Pi 5 will heat up that keyboard.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it just depends on. It just hinges on whether or not we can get them.
Mhm. Yeah, so true, John M. Yay, kitty cat. Although I do not let my kitty near my computers and my equipment for that reason. I don't want cat hair in my keyboard. And that's a hard task sometimes too, because my workbench is actually just outside this room, and it's where the kitty is allowed to go. But I usually work when he's outside. But we've had to have him inside for the last 2.5 weeks because he has the cone of shame on. He had gotten hurt and got a wound. So, but he's doing much better, and tomorrow we're going to finally be able to let him go outside on his own. He's going to be very happy.
All right. Got a little bit of silence. Let's take advantage of it. I think the tree person's gone.
Yes.
Moral of the story. If you can get your hands on a Raspberry Pi 5 at retail, it's a great value. Go pick one up. But that's going to do it for this week. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for showing up, watching us live, all the beautiful party patrons making this show possible. If you want to help us out, head over to patreon.com/Linux Gamecast. Come check out a bunch of things. In fact, I got an entire page stuck together that you can peruse. If you want to share the show, pick up some merch, kick us something off of our Amazon wish list. We got you covered. We even got humble affiliate links hiding down at the bottom. We get a little bit of that action, but we'll see you next week. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. Maybe you're listening to this on Thursday, and that's not confusing at all. Why? Because you can do basic days. Do you call it doing days, Jill?
Yeah, doing days.
Doing days. All right. Time for some credits, everybody.
Yay! We made it through it! Despite some annoyances from the tree trimmers in front of my house. Oh, thank you to our advisors, Omegas and Artherin in chat, and our executive producers, and our Chicago level people, and our awesome sea monsters. There's lots of them now. It's awesome. And our Death Notes. And our chairlings. And Gamatron, Ralph 9900, Don M, Steve Husband, Strider.
Hey, beautiful people. We'll see you next week. Have a great, I don't know, what do you want to call it? Days.
Yeah. Wednesday. That's what Artherin calls it. Oh my goodness gracious. That was horrible. The whole episode. Make a noise. Yeah, Steve Husband. I thought that was going to happen because this morning I heard him at the end of the block and I'm like, oh no, it's our turn during the show.
Every day's a fun day. You gotta do something with it. If you don't have challenges, a little bit of adversity. A lot of people need adversity training wheels in their lives, so don't worry about it. It's not a problem. All right. Oh, what else do we got going on?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, runtime for that was only 37 minutes. It's easy enough to chop out.
Okay, good. Oh boy. Yeah, the whole freaking show. They were, in some part of the block or another. And I was hearing him. I'm like, okay, so when is it going to make it to the mic? This mic is fortunately very good and very isolated, but when they're right in front of your house, you can't help it.
I was able to cut most of it out before I got to anybody.
Okay.
You see, kids, that is the benefit of downward expansion and being able to do live processing in real time.
Yeah.
One of the mini magic tricks that we do.
Chopception. Oh, hi, Alex. How you doing? Yeah, big yay for Ven. Yeah, absolutely.
There we go. Ooh, new client beta. Let's see what that's about. Oh, yeah, and I did finally give up on Thunderbird.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yep.
It was just getting too annoying having to go to the tab on the left and go through everything. Expand it all.
What I was talking about last week is the way around that was to do the combined mail.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right.
And the problem with that has been I have 7 email accounts. And you do your combined messages, and it basically leaves you combined inbox. You know, give you inbox and spam. Every time you check that, it's got to cycle through everything. Well, Thunderbird does anyway. It won't do it in the background. It does every time you click on inbox. You wait. It gets confused. So let's say it picks up all the spam, and you go, okay, empty the spam folder. And it's like, sure. And it still says you have 10 spam in there. And then for some reason it says you have 1 unread message in your inbox, even though there's no unread messages after you've expanded all of your, you can't track mail.
It's like a ghost notification.
Yeah, it doesn't know. I mean, it's not keeping track of what is and what is not. It's reporting to you in the UI. And I'm like, I felt myself yesterday just wasting time. I'm like, do I legitimately have an email I need to respond to right now that it's not showing me? Or am I wasting my time? And I was like, fine, whatever. That's installed Evolution. I need an email client first. And everything else is completely secondary.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I haven't had more than 3 email addresses in my Thunderbird, so it hasn't affected me as much, and mostly I just use 2 of those. But I could see if you have that many, that would be really annoying.
Well, it's got to work. I mean, if it's not capable of accurately displaying whether or not you have an unread message.
Yeah, that's not good.
No, it's not. But it's got a built-in IRC client now.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I just said what the issue was. Pay attention, Strider.
Yeah, they redid the user interface and it's screwing up with stuff.
I'm stuck at, 2 weeks now? Can't put up with it anymore. I don't need to like an email client. I need it to work.
Yeah. I know you've experimented with lots of other different email clients. Which are you going to go back to?
Evolution.
Evolution.
Evolution works.
Yeah, it is a good email client. It's been around for years too.
Strider, I don't care about the UI. It doesn't work. It doesn't accurately track my inbox. It has phantom emails. When it says you have 1 unread message in your unified inbox and you don't, Or maybe you do? Can't live like that. Yeah, the only like issue I've ever had with evolution is I don't know of an easy way to scale the UI, just a smidge. I have not found a solution to that. It's just a little small. It's readable. It's readable.
Okay, but it's very tiny font.
Yeah, like the entire UI needs to be up like 0.2. Well, Strider, that goes to like it works for you, bro. Realize you gotta be able to empathize with other people it doesn't work for. Is it not GTK4 already? I thought it was GTK4.
Yeah. Well, our last update was GTK4. Huh.
The only reason I say that is because when I first launched it from the command line, I saw it griping about Vulkan.
Oh.
But it could be GTA 3. Like, I don't know is where I'm at. Maybe it is. It's GTA 3.
Huh. Yeah, we just talked about it recently, and I thought it was 4, or they were transitioning to 4.
Oh, I
Maybe not
honestly
all the
don't
way.
know.
Look at through our notes. What's not coming up?
I'm not seeing any information about. I am seeing some over on GitLab on GNOME, and I'm seeing people asking for a GTK 4 port. So
Okay.
it looks like it's been worked on.
Yeah, I remember some elements of it I thought had been converted to GTK4, but I guess not all of it yet.
There's been an open issue for a porting of GTK 4 created 2 years ago that's currently active. So I'm
Okay.
going to go with Arthurian, and that is GTK 3.
Oh, I just found that. Okay.
And yeah, Geary's kind of a dumpster fire of an email client. It's close to almost being usable. Geary is more like do you like apps? Man,
Yeah.
do you want the app experience on your desktop? Because apps work great. Imagine if you had to use your Android device with a mouse. That would be sweet, wouldn't it? Yeah, let's deliver that on the desktop.
Oh, look at my mug. Barbie movie mug. And it's very pink. It's got a neat texture to it. It's almost like a rubber texture. Gary's mod. In a Barbie mug world, yes.
Ah, a new version of penguin eggs. Oh yeah.
Dunder Mer Barbie edition. Gary to Gary. Yeah, you did, Nemo. I'm sorry.
Are you okay? Do you need help? You're clearly somewhere where clocks don't exist right now, my man. I'm worried about you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hello,
what do we
Arch Linux
think
Penguin.
about you had a meeting during the show? That'll do it. Dun dun dun.
Mm-hmm.
R.I.P. Vulcan.
Oh. Oh yeah. I was just reading about that today. Yeah, the Vega card and yeah.
Arc 79, 7,000, 6,000, 5,000 Vegas, the 4 5s, and Pro WXs. Oh no! Whatever will be done. Who was using the AMD Vulcan driver though? Kind of curious about that.
Yeah, not Mesa. Yeah, no one cares about AMD Vulcan anyways.
Let's see, we get your typical... Yeah. I don't know. I'm sure there's some stuff that takes advantage of Rico has to leverage that for compute in some way, shape, form, or fashion, just nothing that I'm aware of. But, I mean, I don't think I can get upset about that. Alright. I think I got everything together. Alright, I'm gonna go stick this together. Anybody got any fun plans for the rest of the week? Anything fun coming up, going on?
Oh gosh. I think I'm gonna have a relaxing weekend, which is nice. Last weekend was not very relaxing, so I'm happy about this weekend. Oh, awesome, Alex. Oh, that'll be fun. A corn maze. Aw. With your girlfriend. That's cool.
Got work stuff. Yeah, the whole idea of like the corn maze thing, that'll be fun. Like, I think it would be fun, but they need to throw in like dire consequences to get me interested in a corn maze. Like, put a Jason in there, you know, the equivalent of like homicidal murder raider to motivate me to go through the maze.
Oh, Alex, a magical person that enters your life and gives you cuddles. I love that. Yeah. That's how I feel about my husband. And there goes the tree trimmers once again, on time.
All right, everyone, have a great rest of your week. I'll be back on Friday. If you want to come do some racing, talking about Linux stuff, that's what we do. And Jordan will be back. Maybe tomorrow? I don't know. Maybe yes, maybe no, because he's on a holiday this week.
Yeah.
So if you get a notification that says somebody's live tomorrow, that'll be Jordan. If not, I'll see you Friday. Bye, everybody.
Oh.